Seahawks fans, wherever you may be. Thanks for listening to the show. Join your hosts, Bill Alvstad and Keith Myers, as we talk Seahawks football. Hey, hi, Seahawks fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Seahawks Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Bill Alvstad, sitting down with co-host Keith Myers here to talk Seahawks football. We are doing a preview of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. We've got a Mariners playoff game. I think now on Saturday, confirmed opponent is the Tigers, and that should be a good series. A lot to talk about today about this game coming up. Welcome in, Keith.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Hopefully it'll be a fun game, but it's going to be a good one. These are a couple of decent teams, and that's how it makes for a fun Sunday. So
I think that the Seattle Seahawks at 3-1 are better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-1.
I would agree with that.
I just feel like Seattle right now is playing a complete game football, and Tampa, I think they're decent and they're gritty. Their defense can play well at times, but they're fairly depleted in the secondary. I think they're well coached. I think Baker Mayfield is a guy that you would want on any football team, just from a fiery player. Guy's going to stay in there, put his nose to the grindstone, and try to get you every blade of grass that he can. But beyond that, they're pretty injured right now. And I think, if Seattle just plays its game, straight up defense, mainly rushing for, and staying in lanes, and then on the offense, converting on third down and kind of doing what they've been doing. Maybe they can run the ball better a little bit, although the Bucs are pretty decent at defending the run. I think Seattle's got this thing. It's just a matter of doing what they do, but we can get into that. So is there anything that you want to talk about straight up out of the gate, on the Seahawks side of the ball? Like what is this team doing well? What is this team maybe not doing so well?
Well, what this team is doing well is playing defense, especially actually all 4 games, but the last 3 wins, the defense has really carried this team. They fell apart a little bit at the end of the game last week and let Arizona get back into it, but that was, the end of their 3rd game in 11 days, and they've been on the field a lot during those 3 games. So now we've had them like mini bye, and they're rested, and that shouldn't be a problem. That is the one thing that Seahawks are doing well. What they're not doing well, surprisingly, is running the football. They've really struggled to find that consistency where just way too many plays are getting blown up right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. It is interesting. I think overall DVOA, the Seahawks have the 19th best rushing attack in the NFL. So a little worse than average. I think the attempts are way up. I think the yards per carry are way below where you want it to be. I think plays are getting blown up behind the line of scrimmage before they have a chance to get started. I think this week really created an opportunity, I think, to work on that in practice and kind of figure that out, where they're being challenged, trying to overcome a little bit of those things. If you take a look at Gray Zabel, if everybody blocked like Gray Zabel, we'd have the number 1 offense in the league right now, but we don't. I think that left side is pretty good. The right side with Bradford and Abe Lucas really needs a little bit of work. I haven't really been paying attention too much to Sundell, but I would imagine he's been, fairly average. We haven't had to call him out, for poor play yet. But yeah, I would really love to be able to see the team run the ball. Unfortunately, they're going against the Bucs team and their defense, where I think that's kind of where they've got an advantage. Last week against the Eagles, they had 11 tackles for loss. held Barkley to 2.3 yards per carry and 43 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The secondary is depleted, but nonetheless, the Bucs are fourth in total yards allowed, second in yards per carry allowed, and have the third best third down defense in the NFL. So there's that, right? So this could be one of the better defenses Seattle faces. But Seattle's offense has been playing really well, been scoring points. And I think Seattle's defense, as much as Baker Mayfield makes plays for you and tries to make plays, they're just not that complete of an offense. And it looks like Bucky Irving's going to be out in this game. It's not been completely confirmed, but he's on the injury report. Mike Evans is out. He had a hamstring in this last game. He's out for multiple weeks, so that's confirmed. But if they don't have Bucky Irving in this game, they don't have really a complete offense at all. And it's basically going to be on the arm of Baker Mayfield. And when you can tee up on Baker, he's going to struggle, especially against this defense, I think.
I would agree with that. And the Seahawks are getting healthier. They missing three of their starting five in the secondary a couple of games ago. They got some of the guys back, but they looked rusty, last week. And now they've had these extra few days of rest to get things going. So,
and Emanwari's back potentially. He hasn't been confirmed, but he's also full participant in practice.
Yeah, he was not on the injured report. So should be back. So that's huge. And without having Mike Evans, that receiving core is not going to scare anyone.
No.
And like
last
Mike Evans
last week, Chris Godwin had 10 targets, Keith, 10 receptions for 23 yards. Right? Sterling Sharp had Emeka Buka is legit, like a total rookie of the month in September, right? NFL's rookie of the month.
Okay. Yeah.
Last game, he had over 100 yards. That's the one guy, you've got to keep track of. Sterling Shepard is a guy that you're just not going to pay attention to anymore. And then Chris Godwin, he's just come back from injury as well. Last week was his first game of the season. And he struggled. So
2.3 yards.
It'll be interesting. I think the entire game for them, I think rests on Bucky Irving being healthy. And if he can't go in this game, they just don't have enough weapons. I just don't think.
Yeah. Just looking at some rankings as far as and stats for these teams, in terms of passing yards, Seattle's 13th and Tampa's 15th. There's only 1 yard different. Somehow that's 2 spots in the rankings, but Seattle's done it with 35 fewer pass attempts. And what that tells you is
they're a high volume.
Yeah. Seattle is number 2 in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. They're completing big plays in the passing game. Tampa's 23. They're below average in yards per pass attempt. So it really comes down to, like, you got to get up and make the tackle, because everything's being thrown underneath, everything's short. They're just not pushing the ball down the field. And so if you can get up, tackle well, play physical, Tampa's going to have a harder time moving the ball, especially if Bucky Irving's not out there.
I think the Buccaneers are a paper tiger, to be completely honest with you. I mean, you take a look at their games. Yes, they played the Eagles tight in this last game. No doubt. It was a gritty performance. They came up short. Baker Mayfield threw an interception there at the end. But in 4 games, they have a 0-point differential. They have 1 game against the Falcons by 3 points. They beat the Texans by 1 point. They beat the Jets by 2 points. And then they lost to the Eagles. I'm just saying, I'm not so sure that this is a complete team. On paper, they're 3-1. But we'll find out exactly what that means after this game. I think
Houston has not looked good this year.
Not good.
They
their offense is horrible.
Yeah, it's just an absolute
defense
mess.
Is just as bad.
CJ Stroud is basically, I mean, it's like the Seahawks offensive line last year. There's nothing there for him. And they don't really have the weapons or anything. So I just look at beating them by a point is not it's not one of those wins that you're like, wow, that's impressive. It's really not. Beating the Jets by 2 or the Falcons by 3. Again, just not. Those aren't impressive wins. Those aren't good teams.
And when you say and when you say the Bucs have scored 23 plus points in 3 of those 4 games, does that really even mean anything? I think it's more significant. I think that Seattle's held their opponents to 16.8 points per game. I mean, the high that they faced was the Cardinal game at 20 points. I don't see the Bucs, and we'll do predictions later, but I'm having a hard time figuring out how the Bucs are going to score 13 points in this game. Yeah.
I mean, the high for the Seahawks giving up is 20, but they only given up 135 yards and 6 points after 3 quarters. And then they just ran out of gas defensively.
So are you falling in love with this team or what, Keith?
I am really loving this defense. I love what Seattle does, what they can do, just the way they play. They play smart. They bring they very rarely bring the blitz, but when they do, it gets home. It's so well coached and coordinated on top of being excruciatingly talented. I love the Seattle's defense. I think the offense is, I don't want to say it's a mess because last year it was a mess. It's not as efficient as I'd like it to be. I like the far more, 2 or 3 yard gains rather than 0 yard gains in the running game, and better third down conversions.
You got to be careful for what you wish for, though. It's like, that yards per play average that we have includes all the explosive plays too. So you don't want to give any of those up in lieu of getting the 3 yard punches that you're talking about, though.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to, but what I want to do is I want to set up Sam Darnold at 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2 far more often than we're setting him up at 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, which is what we're doing a lot now. The yards to go for the Seahawks on 3rd down has been unimpressive. It's been a large number, and that's something that they need to fix. That's the reason why they're not better in terms of efficiency, is because the running attempts are up. They're continuing to pound the ball, even though it's not working that well. And it's setting up, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, quite often. It'd be nice if those were 3rd and 2, because then your whole playbook's open. You can do anything. You're forcing the team to defend the entire field. And that just makes life easier for a guy like Sam Darnold.
You want some good news about Sam Darnold?
He's playing
the
awesome.
Good news. A, he's playing awesome. And B, when you play awesome, defenses start to pay attention to you. And when defenses start to pay attention to Sam Darnold, that means they're going to back off the 8 guys in the box that they've been stacking up against our run and anticipate a little bit more play action stuff and kind of allow Seattle, I think, to be more successful running the ball. So I would look for that in these upcoming games a little bit. I don't necessarily think that ultimately slows down Sam Darnold and the explosive plays and the way that he's playing right now. I mean, it was kind of a fun week after this Cardinal game to kind of listen to all the podcasts, listen to the NFL channel, Rick Eisen, others, just everyone is really just glowing about Sam Darnold, the way that he's playing, how composed he is, how calm his feet are. You're hearing those kind of comments, and we hear those kind of comments about how well he's playing within the offense and within his own skill set. And it seems like everyone's kind of bought into what he's doing. And I just laughed when I heard some of this stuff, because it's what you and I have been talking about since February, March. It's like when we acquired him, you have the best case scenario and the worst case scenario with Sam Darnold. We kind of lean towards the best case because of his relationship he had with Klint Kubiak and the experience he has in this sort of an offense. And I think that you and I both identified the idea that this offensive scheme really suits Sam Darnold really well. It doesn't ask too much of him, which enables him, I think, to even be better at the things that he's really good at. And then enables also for him to be able to take shots when he can. And he's so good at being on platform all the time, even when he has to play off script, that he throws really well on the run to both sides. And I'm really loving what I'm seeing. So much so that I mentioned last week to you, is like, what do you think about him being the franchise quarterback going forward? And the more I'm thinking about it, and the more I'm hearing kind of really good guys, General Jeremiah, a whole bunch of other guys, just really start to talk about him in a like upper echelon way, where you're kind of in an exclusive club of top 5 quarterbacks in this league. And he's right there with all the attributes you really look for in a guy that you want to carry your team.
Yeah. I mean, what I said when you asked me that was, I need to see him, show that he can produce at the, the end of games when it's tight, or, the end of the season and in the playoffs. Like, show me that gene that you have it, right? He certainly did against Arizona, coming in and making plays when he had to. That was a great sign. I mean, yeah, you are starting to see a lot of people they're like, okay, he played really, really well last year for Minnesota. And then he had a couple of rough games at the end of the year. Now he's coming out and he's playing really, really well for Seattle. And it's like, at some point we have to, recognize that this is who he is. He's a good quarterback now. He wasn't as a starter for the Jets back when he was drafted. He was kind of awful, which has been the case for many quarterbacks that have started for the Jets. But he's had some time. He's bounced around a little bit. Shanahan in San Francisco freaking loved him and raved about him. And then he went on to Minnesota and went 14-3 as a starter. And looked every bit an MVP candidate for most of the year. And now what he's doing in Seattle, like, there's not high volume of pass attempts because they haven't needed him to, but what he's done with the few pass attempts that he's had has been phenomenal. He's taking care of the football. He's getting the ball into the end zone. He's getting it downfield when he needs to. Like, it's hard to complain about anything that Sam Darnold is doing right now.
Yeah, really efficient. Now, you mentioned efficiency earlier, but I think you're tying into the run game with that. With Sam Darnold, though, the efficiency is already there. Number 2 in pass yards per attempt, and number 1 in explosive pass rate. And those completion percentages on the explosive plays, leading the NFL by kind of a wide margin.
And 70% completion percentage.
The struggles of the run game.
Yeah.
Despite the run game
completion percentage, and teams are, it's 3rd and 8. They know they're coming after you, or they're dropping everybody into coverage and making life hard because you're at 3rd and 8. Get it to 3rd and 3, and it's just going to open things up and make things easier for him. So, yeah, I mean, this is a situation where this offense, I think, will continue to make strides throughout the season. We're 4 games in to a brand new scheme that is not an easy one to learn, with the outside zone, the zone stretch. They haven't run it much. They've been running mostly inside, I think, because of just that's what they're ready for. But eventually you're going to see more and more of the stretch zone running game. And as that happens, as they continue to build that and become better at that, you're going to see that offense just become more efficient. They're going to extend drives, they're going to be better on 3rd down. They're going to score more points because they extend drives and are better on 3rd down. And with the way the defense is playing, if the offense can just, take it up one more, one more click, suddenly this is a really formidable team.
So we shared a lot of thoughts during training camp in the preseason, of course, all off season. And, we really studied this roster really closely, as we always do. And it's not too often where you feel a certain way about a team, that they're going to be able to do certain things. And this year, I think both of us kind of had that feeling. Maybe I was a little bit more optimistic out of the gate, but nonetheless, we were all fairly aligned. But everyone outside of Seattle was like, no. Vegas was at 7.5 wins. You saw us hover in the 20 to 24 range as far as the team rankings are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few outliers, but that was kind of where they were coming in at. Nobody believed in this thing. Nobody believed in Sam Darnold. Nobody believed in Mike Macdonald. Really, it was kind of an indictment, weird. I think, overall on that, which is it's just weird. And now, after 4 games, you're seeing a complete reversal of that. And they're literally ranked in the top 5, top 6 teams in the NFL. They've risen that far that quickly because I think the league, people that cover the league, have recognized that this team is something special. And like you said, with getting that complete run game going, along with where Sam Darnold's at, and this offense gets going, combined with this defense, and this NFC that's kind of wide open. You could make a real good playoff run here, an opportunity here to I don't want to, jinx it or whatever, but you should be thinking about Super Bowl. If you're on this team, if you're this coach, you're revising your goals, I think, to realistically have the Super Bowl as being one of those goals. Because when you have a window that's this open, just in general in the NFC, and you're a good team that's doing good things, you're 3-1, you could be in 3 weeks, you could end up being 6-1. You need to start thinking in those terms. One of the players that's really contributed to that and just really solidified himself in this league is Jaxon-smith and Njigba.
Oh my God.
26 catches, 402 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, through 4 weeks. Crazy.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. He just really has been outstanding. And for the first 3 games, he was over 100 yards for the first 2. Almost set a team record. He was 95 yards in week 3. Then he came back and they shut him out for a half, and he still ended up with 75 yards. And was a huge part of the team. So it's just one of those things that when you look at everything that he's doing, just his ability to get open, his ability to make big plays down the field when the team desperately needs one. He is just having a fantastic year, and he's doing it as the undisputed number 1, meaning that teams are putting 2 guys on him on every play. And honestly, like, he's making the loss of a guy like DK feel insignificant.
We haven't even had to really talk about it.
Yeah.
Really. Now, I wish that Cooper Kupp and some of the other guys would kind of step up just a little bit. I think those opportunities are going to come as we become a little bit more efficient, but already let's talk DVOA. So the Seahawks are either 1 or 2 overall for the second straight week. The offense is 6th. Rushing success rate is currently their only real weakness. Seahawks rank 10th in offensive line pressure rate allowed, 10th, 9th in Pro Football Focus pass blocking grade, 9th in sacks allowed. This is like a top 10 offensive line, Keith. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And they're not even that good yet in run blocking.
They're not good at all in run blocking. to be honest. They're doing okay on the left side, but the right side is struggling really hard. And they're outperforming the expectations, right? The pass blocking has been phenomenal. It really has, and I think that some of that scheme, some of that is the fact that they're they're pounding the football. So, and they play a lot. They do a lot of play action, which is making it easier on the offensive line, which is exactly
But
what we
I
said
will
would
say
happen.
this on
It's
true
playing well.
pass set grades, Seattle is ranked 11th overall in
Yeah,
the NFL on true pass sets. That's taking out play action pass.
yeah.
So
I
I mean
mean,
that's pretty amazing.
they are definitely playing better. These are roughly the same guys, right? Um, as last year, but man, what a different competent coaching makes.
So I will say this though. Seahawks rank 4th in the NFL in rushing attempts,
Mm-hmm.
but rank 28th in yards per carry at 3.6. And they also face a Bucs defense that is 5th fewest rushing yards allowed per game. The Seahawks have a league high 33 attempts that either lost yardage or gained 0 yards. But the Seahawks run into stack boxes 38.2% of their runs, which is the highest rate in the NFL, and get stuffed on 26% of their runs, second worst in the league behind the Raiders. I could go on, but I think everyone gets the point. So Seattle needs to figure out a way how to get out of the stack box looks that they're facing. I mean, that's almost like Ryan Grubb last year with the pass offense. It's like you were setting those offensive line up to fail, getting them in one-on-one situations in pass blocking. And now you're setting them up to fail in the run game because you're allowing stack boxes to be there and you're going to run into them anyway. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think that it's a philosophical thing for the team. They want to run the ball. They want to pound and at some point, like that's just who they're going to be. And if they're not going to be good at running the ball, they're at least going to make up for it with volume. I don't really like that. I prefer you to do what you do well. But yeah, if they're going to continue to pound the ball, then the other teams are going to continue to stick 8, 9 in the box, and that's going to make it harder to run the ball. They need to. I mean, the play action game that they have should help over time. It'll get the linebackers to react a little more slowly, but they need to start throwing the ball more on first down, I think. And I don't mean down the field like 30 yards. I mean,
I agree.
hit a 4 or 5 yard slant. And or something like that. Get so that way you're taking teams out of, they're coming in and stacking the box against the run, and you're throwing a quick pass to get the ball outside and picking up yards. Well, now it's 2nd and 4. Now what are they going to do? You can do anything from there.
Let me ask you this. Have you seen Sam Darnold audible at the line of scrimmage out of run plays into passing plays on early downs yet this year? I'm not so sure I'm really noticing that yet.
If they're making those switches, they've done a very good job of having the calls that he's making not be obvious, right? There's not those like stops where everyone suddenly turns and looks and you can tell that he's like calling in another play even though everyone's in position. There hasn't been a lot of that. He gets up, he makes some calls, he says some stuff, but guys are still staring forward. They're not needing to look at him for cues. And that's the kind of thing that the if it is where he is making those calls and changing out of stuff, it's hard to see. It really is. I would like to see him have more control. I think that the longer this year goes on, the more he has earned to have a little bit more control at the line. I would love if he gets up and there's 9 guys in the box and they've got a run play called. He needs to be allowed to transition this team out of that and into some sort of pass play that he can take advantage of the coverages that are there.
One of the things heading into the year with the Klint Kubiak thing and the the offensive line coach and coaching that we're getting, it was we were kind of, and then we saw that Kansas City game in preseason, and we were kind of under the impression, I think, at least I felt like I was left with the impression that we were going to be better at running the ball before penetration into the backfield and that sort of thing. Just based on the scheme. But Zach Charbonnet right now is averaging 1.3 yards before contact, 43rd out of 47 measurable running backs in the NFL. So almost last, right? Mm-hmm. Ken Walker has gone up now to 2.4 yards before contact, which is about league average. Just to illustrate a very successful running back, Jamari Gibbs is the NFL best 3.4 yards per contact out of that Lions offensive line.
So he's nice. 3 yards downfield before anyone can lay a hand on him.
3.5.
Yeah.
And Zach Charbonnet is getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, or at the line of scrimmage, essentially at 1.3 yards.
So I'm looking at some stats that, this is one that the NFL sends out to media people, but for some reason I've never seen anyone report on it. It's called net yards over average. And so it's like, okay, everything's like renormalized for down and distance and that kind of stuff. But it's how, when this player is on the field, what is the average rushing gain or offense, how many yards that are gained when they're on the field, when they're off the field, and then you can get a difference. But overall, when you look at net yards over average per rush, there is not a single player on the Seahawks that are positive. Meaning that for down and distance, every single, the Seahawks are below average, regardless of which player compositions that are out there. There's no way. There's no player that when they come on the field makes the Seahawks an above average running team. It's basically what it comes down to. Every single player is negative.
Yeah, I think guys just need to start taking this personal. Is really what it boils down to, especially at this stage. It's like they know the scheme now. They know what's required of them. They just need to go and get it done. I saw Bradford, there was a highlight reel. You may have seen it on social media. Highlight reel focusing on just Bradford. I think Baldy did it or something like that, where he whiffed on 5 offensive plays against the Cardinals. Just whiffed, missed his guy completely, allowed his guy to penetrate, make a play in the backfield or make something close to a play. Just by either miscommunication, not being physically able to get to a spot in time or whatever. It was kind of humiliating. And I just don't understand what's happening there. And I'd like to see that get corrected. Maybe this long week was able to do that. So I want to talk about the defense really quick, and we can get out of here. The defense is allowing 4.48 yards per play, second in the NFL. The only defense better in Seahawks franchise history on that mark is the 2013 Seahawks defense. People may remember that at 4.42. So we're at 4.48 now. That defense was at 4.42 over the course of the entire season.
And that was arguably one of the best defense in NFL history. It's one of 3 that people you can make a case for. And it's yeah. So
there's a couple of things to watch for that maybe we could improve on. I think the missed tackle rate. I think Seattle's 4th in the league right now in missed tackle rate overall. There's a couple players that stand out above others. I won't go into that. But that they've got the third most missed tackles in the NFL through 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing to watch is Boye and Mafe, Derek Hall, and DeMarcus Lawrence have a combined 256 pass rushing snaps so far this year and 0 sacks. Does that surprise you?
It does, but that doesn't tell the story. The idea that they're not being productive is that's absurd. These guys are harassing quarterbacks. They're chasing them all over the place. They're making them step up and give it so that guys like Byron Murphy can get sacks in the middle. They have been very productive because remember that pressure. You don't have to get home. Pressure is production if you're a defensive end, because you'll pick any quarterback metric that you want. When there's no pressure versus under pressure, every single quarterback is vastly inferior under pressure. So get pressure, and those guys are getting pressure. Just because they haven't gotten home, I'm not. It's not concerning me, because when you watch the games, they are there. They're making plays.
I like the Mike Macdonald philosophy in that I think it allows you to stay in base defense, rush 4, and really make it more difficult, I think, overall on the quarterback, just because coverage is tighter. And so the pressure does the effective job of what you want it to do in order to get the quarterback off his platform and disrupt timing. And essentially that's the key. I would like to get some sacks, because sacks are, drive killers. And I like the idea of getting home. And I think those will come, right? It just hasn't happened so far. Last thing, DVOA. Seahawks are number 1 in DVOA overall, number 1 in defensive DVOA, number 1 in special teams DVOA, number 6 in offensive DVOA. Believe it or not, that's carried by the Sam Darnold and the passing offense. Yeah, exactly. That's how Sam Darnold is. How big. Now that did help that they ran 155 yards against Cardinals. Number 2 in passing offense DVOA, number 2 in passing defense DVOA, number 19 in rushing offense DVOA. That tracks, and number 1 in rushing defense DVOA. Seahawks are ranked 3rd in first quarter scoring. So they're, and that's how many times in the last 15, 20 years have we been able to say they're ranked 3rd in first quarter scoring?
How much of that though is just the way that the Saints game, where they had scored 21 points. They were up 21. Nothing,
but also we've scored on a couple of first drives in this season already.
That's true. And they hadn't done that for like 24 weeks or whatever it was.
I know. We're 4th in second quarter scoring, Keith. So that, how do you address that? And then 2nd in third quarter scoring, right? But we're 20th in fourth quarter scoring. So we're scoring the ball a lot and putting pressure on offenses, and we're just kind of holding on in the fourth quarter to get out wins. But we are plus 11 per game. We're outscoring opponents by 11 points per game on average.
Yeah,
that's significant. But most games in the NFL are decided by one score, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the things that's great about the NFL versus college football, is that the most games are within one score. It's like 72% of games are within one score. And see, if you're averaging 11 points per game more than your opponent, you're dominating.
Yeah, so far. This will be a tough game. This is a scrappy team. It's well coached. Todd Bowles is a great defensive mind. He's got them playing well overall. I think their secondary, Keith, is kind of diminished by injury in this game. I think their offense is a little diminished by injury. Could be greatly diminished if Bucky Irving doesn't show up. And we'll see how that plays out. But it's prediction time. What are your thoughts?
I don't see how Tampa puts together a consistent offense, and it's going to make that hard for them to score, especially with the way Seattle's defense has been playing. I think if they get to 13, that'll be a good output for Tampa. Whereas Seattle, they're going to struggle to run the ball. I think the scoring it'll be low overall because Seattle won't be able to run the ball, but they're going to keep trying. But Seattle's going to get their points. They're going to get theirs. It's just the way it works. And so 23-20 or sorry 23-13 seems about where I feel like this game is going to end up.
I think I'm going to go a little broader than that. I think this offense really starts to click, and I think the run game, for whatever reason, in this game against a pretty stout run defense so far, but I just don't think that they've faced a team quite as challenging on the offensive side of the ball as Seattle is. Just a kind of a complete team, and I think Seattle is going to score like 30 plus points. So I'll just say 30. And then I agree with you on the 13. I think it could be anywhere from 9 to 10 to 13, maybe 17 in this game, depending on how the ball bounces and if they score late and all that kind of stuff. But when you score 30, you're not, you might allow a late touchdown or something in the game. But I think through 3 quarters, similar to what we did against the Cardinals, we shut them down. Like it's very difficult to score against this defense, and it's very difficult to move the ball between the 20s on this defense. And so I see it being low scoring for them. Especially if they're missing their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think
with Mike Evans out, that really hurts them. And if Bucky Irving doesn't go, I mean, where do the yards come from? Where do the yards come from? It's going to be a real tough sledding for Tampa in this one.
All right. So we're both predicting a win. Surprise, surprise. Should be a good game. It's at regular time, by the way. The Mariners are playing on Saturday, and it doesn't affect their game time on Sunday because the Mariners would be playing later if there's a game on Sunday. And I'm not sure about the schedule, but that was announced a few days ago. All right, let's get out of here. Enjoy the game, everyone. Come back here after the game during the week, and we'll do a post-game recap show, probably on Monday, maybe Sunday night, maybe.
It'll have to be Monday because I'm going up to the game.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
Yep, I'll be up.
Yeah, we'll have a direct report from Keith on Monday. You can find Keith at the game on Sunday or on social media once in a while, although he is elusive. And you can find me at NW Seahawk, more regular than Keith. I'm still on X.
Hard to do.
And I'm still, I'm on some other things. And then find the show on your favorite podcast platform and our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button when you find it. And we'll talk to you soon. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Seahawks Playbook podcast listeners, thanks for joining us for another edition of the show. You can find us on Twitter. Bill is at NW Seahawk, Keith is at Myers NFL, and the show is at Hawks Playbook. You can listen and subscribe to the show at SeahawksPlaybook.com.